A CNBC analysis found more and more companies are going public with women CEOs this year. So far, in the first half of the year, 13 women CEOs have led their company's IPOs. That represents 15% of the total IPOs in 2019 so far. RealReal, as Andrew mentioned, PagerDuty, Luckin Coffee each had a female CEO at the helm during their IPOs in recent months. The proportion of women CEOs is far higher than any year going back to at least 2014, and it's also triple the percentage of women CEOs in the Russell 3000 and S&P 500. So if the trend continues, it could have the potential to boost the percentage of women running publicly traded companies in America. Historically, though, women have faced large obstacles in the startup world. Last year, companies founded solely by women got a mere 2.3% of the total capital invested in startups, according to PitchBook. And a study by the University of Utah found that when comparing apples to apples companies, women CEOs are evaluated more negatively by the institutional investors who attend roadshows and receive less capital as a result. But if this year is the turning point for women CEOs, startups like Rent the Runway, Glossier, led by women, could all benefit. Guys.
Okay, so we often measure, and we always say how sad and pathetic it is, the women who are running S&P 500 companies. Mm-hmm. How many of the are any of these going into the S&P 500?
I'm not sure if the ones who are all the ones who are run by women are going directly into the S&P 500. Right. A lot of companies went public this year. The RealReal being the exception, had a dual-class share structure, which can oftentimes preclude entrance into different indexes. But at least for the kind of the universe of publicly traded companies, it should make a big difference.
Are these founders? Are these women founders also, and that's why?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of them are companies like the RealReal, for example, where their target demographic is women, and they've been able to kind of capitalize on just this resurgence of women as, consumers online and things like that. And 2019 just seems to be kind of a unique year for them to capitalize on that.
I mean, despite the difficulties that a female-led startup has in the venture world, it seems that relative to the broader landscape of corporate America, it's a way for a woman to run a company, right? Just to start one, right?
Definitely.
Is that if you're an entrepreneur, it's better to go that route instead of working your way up the ladder through corporate America. Is that sort of ultimate, despite the difficult trend in terms of the venture world, is it still a better route now?
I think that's a good question, and I think when you see women in particular and other minorities that do have difficulty obtaining venture capital funding, you get these startups that are more kind of bootstrap in nature, which means essentially that they're able to operate, more based on
they don't need to rely on the VC
funding,
right?
The VC funding, and in which case, in turn, could be more attractive to investors down the road if they do succeed over time without that venture capital funding and are able to still grow and maintain scale accordingly.
Leslie, in the startups, is it across the board in terms of a distribution, different types of businesses? Is it concentrated more in one area? Is it more fashion, more apparel, tech? How broad is it?
It's more fashion, more apparel, but we're seeing this in healthcare as well. We're seeing it in consumer with Luckin Coffee. So it is pretty spread out. But the IPOs in general this year are much more concentrated. And so that's a good question. Much more concentrated toward tech and biotech. And so, of course, we will see kind of more of a skew toward those two sectors this year.